Hey guys, welcome back to the Health Life Spirituality Podcast, a show all about well being and your spiritual self. I'm your host, Liam Gunderson. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about the recent events happening in the United States. All the riots, the police violence, the protesting, the deaths, all of it. And I want to talk about what you can do to help with that. So, I think that what's happening is horrible. I mean, it's horrible that these people who are supposed to protect our country are doing the opposite. I think that these riots are doing a lot of damage. I don't know that they're necessarily a good thing, but I do believe that they'll get something done. They'll serve as a wake-up call for those people who still disbelieve the presence of racism in our country. So, I'm going to first talk about your attitude towards it and the best way to go about this. So, there's two ways you can approach this problem. Well, three, I suppose. First of all, you can just ignore it, say that people are wrong and that the police are fine, which is just ignorant and stupid, but that is what some people have chosen to do. And the second option you have is getting angry about it. And while that's a perfectly valid response, it is not the only one you should have, because anger doesn't really help. Because when you're angry, you tend to act rashly, and it just does not help people. I'm not saying you shouldn't be angry, because you absolutely should be, but, you know, it's the way you go about it that matters. So the third way you can go about this is through empathy and understanding. And those are the two words that I think are the most important to focus on right now. That is especially true if you are not black or another minority, as I am. You know, I'll never understand what they what they go through. I never will. Well, it doesn't mean I know. That doesn't mean I can't know that this is wrong. That this is horrible. And I mean, I'm never gonna know what it feels like to walk down the street and be scared for my life. I'm never gonna have that fear. And, I'm grateful for that, of course. But I also would never wish that on anyone else. Really, I really want this to change. And the way it can change is by people opening up their minds and listening to people, listening to their stories, listening to their struggles, hearing their voice, and listening as nobody has done before. That's the way that we can really make change, through talking and listening and understanding. Because otherwise it's just shouting at each other, arguments, and that doesn't solve things. So essentially what you need to do is become more empathetic and try to understand other people's point of view. Even if you think that they're completely wrong, you still need to open your mind and listen to them, because maybe something they're saying will strike you. So, next I want to talk about the riots and what can come out of them. So, first of all, I just want to say that while there are riots happening, there are also a heck of a lot of peaceful protests. So, that's what people are focusing on, though, the riots. People aren't always focusing on the police violence, they're not focusing on the peaceful protests. No, they're focusing on these violent riots. Um, and then that's fine, but we just need to remember why these things are happening in the first place. And that is because people feel they have no other option. And that is terrifying. People feel they have no other option than violence, especially in this country, because we're supposed to be a progressive, very open-minded, free country, and yet people aren't even allowed to protest peacefully. When people try to kneel peacefully during the national anthem, well, they were attacked for it. Black Lives Matter movement, people are saying all lives matter. Like, yeah, of course they do. That's the whole point. We know white lives matter. But history has shown us that other lives are not valued as much, which is wrong. It's horrible. And that's the purpose of the movement, to get equality. It's not about elevating another racial group. No, it's about being equal. I think a lot of people actually lose sight of that, but you want to keep in mind that it's to be equal, not better, not inferior or superior, but equal. So, back to the riots. Martin Luther King once said that riots are the outcry of a desperate people or something like that. I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something along those lines. And I think that's really true because people have tried over and over again to raise their voices, and yet nothing's happened. Well, sure, some progress has been made, but nothing too significant in the past 40 years. And that's frustrating. I think I think these riots are not a surprise, and I don't think they're necessarily a bad thing. Of course, it's horrible. I would be terrified if I was a business owner and I got my store smashed up. But I think that these riots will, as I said earlier, serve as a wake-up call to those people in our country who still do not think this is a huge problem. Racism is a huge problem. I think it'll help them to understand that all this is not just for show. It's not just for poops and giggles. It's a real thing, and it's something we need to start addressing now. I mean, if we start talking about this peacefully, if people in positions of power start talking about this peacefully, if they start to address these things, if they start to actually open their minds and understand that no life is worth more than any other, well, then, you know what? I think these riots would stop. So what I'm going to leave you with is that you need to be open-minded and empathetic towards other people, no matter what they're saying to you. Whether you completely disagree with them or not. So, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. And make sure to tune in next week for more. If you want more content, make sure to check out my blog at healthlifespirituality.com. And if you want to follow me on my social medias to connect with me further, you can search up Health Life Spirituality on Instagram, Facebook, and Facebook, and Fit Life Spirit on Twitter. And I post daily on all these, and so go follow them. I will see you next week, and until then, peace.